All right, we're back live tonight here on In Focus, and thank you very much for staying on. The Anglican Church in South Africa has passed a resolution declaring Israel an apartheid state. Archbishop Malusi Mpumlwana has, however, emphasized that the church isn't opposed to Jewish people, but rather the increasingly extreme policies of the Israeli government. For more on this, we're joined now by the South African Council of Churches General Secretary, Bishop Malusi Mpumlwana. Your Grace, good to have you, and thank you very much for coming on. In fact, it is the Anglican Church of Southern Regions Provincial Standing Committee that has made this declaration. How significant is that body in relation to the declaration that has been made?
It's quite significant because it then speaks for the members of the Anglican Church in several countries in Southern Africa. And they're all in this meeting when that makes that decision. But I think part of the context is that the Anglican Church is a member of the South African Council of Churches. And this matter has been a matter of prayerful observation by the churches or member churches of the SACC for some time. And we, in fact, the Anglican Church moved a motion at the recent Assembly of the World Council of Churches to say these designs that indicate the architecture of apartheid in Israel do need to be changed because of the implications of what they are doing. But then the proposal from the Anglicans of Southern Africa at the World Council was that the World Council should take a lead together with the Vatican to convene world Christians and invite world leaders of Judaism, of the Jewish faith, and world leaders of the Muslim faith. These are the three Abrahamic faiths that for whom the Holy Land is holy. And let's then have a conversation that will then enable the faith communities to bring the peace of Jerusalem collectively. This did not happen because the conference was in Germany, and I think that the German government was afraid of having any discussion at all about this matter, naturally and understandably, given the history of Germany. And so that was a lost opportunity. But we still believe that is the way to go because the Holy Land is not holy to politicians. It's holy to people of faith. And we all want peace, security, and justice for all in that land, both Israelis and Arabs. And so we must find a solution, and that's what we're working towards.
So what would have been, as they put it, a stroke that broke the camel's back for the faith community that would have led the committee to pass the resolution?
As you will have seen from their resolution, they are their resolution is in support, or if you like, in consequence of a resolution already taken by the National Executive Committee of the South African Council of Churches. And as we say, these three laws leave little doubt about the designs, even if they're not intending it that way, but that's what it looks like. I mean, how do you pass a law that has got constitutional power? It's called the Basic Law. Israel is the land of the Jews. And it actually then says that self-determination is the unique right of Jewish people in the state of Israel. How do you do that? What happens if you're not Jewish? I mean, it's unbelievable. Because it then means that everyone else does not count. Only Jewish people have got, rights of self-determination. That's what this law says. Then it goes on to say that that you can. It also goes beyond that. It talks about the land of Israel as the national, as the nation, the natural, historical home of the Jewish people. You know, when they use that expression, which is actually a biblical expression, Eretz Israel, it almost refers to all the lands that were ever once occupied or ruled by any of the previous kings of Israel, which then means that we can have them say tomorrow that they are taking over, they are annexing Syria, they are annexing Lebanon. There can be no end to it. And you can't do that in present-day international law. It is totally totally breaking, to allow Israel to have this exceptionalism that says that they can do anything they want in the international regime is not acceptable. Then, of course, they passed an annexation law. That annexation law says everything that they have taken now has become illegally. They've taken it, but it has become now sovereign land of the state of Israel. Yeah. They're doing that across the board. In fact, this is about 60% of the West Bank is subject to this. They will do it because 30% was already given in the deal of the century by Donald Trump, yeah. And they just need to add to that.
So, simply put, I mean, you are looking at the changes to the Constitution as changes that are obviously leaning towards the Constitution becoming an apartheid Constitution. Is that what you're saying?
It already has been established because, you see, even as they are taking over in the annexation the lands that belong to the Palestinians, if those lands are illegally being declared sovereign land of Israel, it means in terms of the basic law, the Palestinians that are in those territories have no rights. And then, of course, you saw the clamor when there was this proposed change to the judiciary in the judicial reform. And apart from all the Democrats in Israel saying that this is undermining the judiciary, the real reason, I believe, is to ensure that nobody, because up to now, anyone could go to the Supreme Court and challenge an unjust law passed by Parliament. But now they are changing that in these reforms to say the judiciary may law. Can you imagine? We cannot go to the Constitutional Court to challenge a law. That's what they are doing. These reforms mean that, which means you will never reverse the annexation law. You will never reverse the basic law. So what hope is there then for a two-state solution?
Yeah. It's a tough decision, I'm sure, that the Southern African bloc has come to. But do you see this putting some kind of divisions among members of the church themselves? For example, the Church of England. Do you think it would support and be a part of this declaration?
I don't know. Look, I'm saying that the South African churches know apartheid. And even Desmond Tutu, when he went to Israel, he said, you look at apartheid, you can tell it because you know you have experienced it. The English have not done it, they have not experienced that. So we would not be surprised if they do it. After all, the Southern African Church is an independent church in its own right. It doesn't have its resolutions to be confirmed or otherwise by the Church of England. But in this case, the Anglican Church is in keeping with the rest of the South African churches of all denominations in the SACC, not just the Anglicans.
So some were saying the Anglican Church has lagged behind. In fact, you are late in the picture of adopting this particular posture and this particular strategy of supporting justice for both, I suppose, peace in Israel and justice for those in Palestine. What do you say to that?
I don't think that is true because we have observed this now for several years. I think you need to know that that the SACC, and that includes all the churches in the SACC, have since 2006 been sending peace observers in Palestine, Israel, in a program the World Council of Churches called the Accompaniment Program for Peace in Palestine and Israel. People go there and stay for 3 months. And during that time, they observe and take notes of what is experienced. So this has been happening for several years, I say, since over a long time. And so, there are many South Africans now who have been part of that in all our churches. And so we've been seeing what has been going on. So our churches have been very, very reluctant, even now, to say we're not even calling for sanctions as we did under apartheid. But we're saying that we're naming what we see as evil, but we're saying it can be changed. Let us work towards changing it.
Are you taking this to the World Council of Churches?
We already have, and we've already communicated with the Vatican as well to say we're asking the two of them to take the lead and convene with, we've been talking to some, Jewish leaders in the United States, and we're saying that we would like for this to be something that faith communities can take responsibilities for, and we believe that it is possible, and that they will be able to find a solution that can. What's very important, I think we need to recognize that Israel is a state of people that have been traumatized by the experience of the Holocaust, and that trauma has an impact on their psyche, and that needs to be recognized and taken into account. But it does not, therefore, justify traumatizing whole communities for the rest of their lives. I mean, you still have Palestinians that are sitting in refugee camps since 1948. I mean, how do you do that? So there has to be a solution that, if it were up to me, I would have said, you don't need a two-state solution. Yeah. You need one democratic state and let everybody live together peaceably. We can make that happen. Let's make it happen. But now, all the things that we're saying deny the prospect of a two-state solution.
The Palestinian National Council says that there needs to be accountability for crimes against Palestinian people. How are you going to handle the question of accountability?
You are talking about the Parliament of Palestine?
The Palestinian Christians are saying that Israel should be held accountable for its crimes against Palestinian people.
Indeed. In the same way that the Jewish faith leaders are saying that Palestinians must be held accountable for what they call terrorism. So that's normal language. But when you start sitting down and talking about what future you can have together, it becomes a different conversation.
Your Grace, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for coming on. And for clarity, that Bishop Malusi Mpumlwana, the General Secretary of the South African Council of Churches. Right.